Welcome to Wolverton and Greenleys in Bloom. In this presentation, we want to show you what you won't be seeing on your judge's tour around the Wolverton and Greenleys Town Council area this year. We hope that it will help to give you a fuller picture of our through the year Britain in Bloom related activities. But first, let's give you a picture of our place. The Wolverton and Greenleys Town Council area is very varied. There is the original medieval settlement of Old Wolverton with 1960s housing and industrial estates, 3 areas of 1970s and 80s housing developments of rented and private houses built under the direction of Milton Keynes Development Corporation, Greenleys, Hodgeley and Stacey Bushes. There's a newer Places for People development at Wolverton Park alongside the Grand Union Canal that combines modern housing within and alongside listed buildings. Some of the old park area has been retained as a green space, and a wildlife pond is fed by water from the old Royal Train Shed roof. The most recent arrival is Stratford Park, a new development between Wolverton and Greenleys. And bordering the area to the north is the Ouse Valley Park, where in the last few years an area of gravel extraction has been turned into a floodplain nature reserve that is already teeming with wildlife. At the area's core is the Victorian and Edwardian railway town of Wolverton, developed from 1838, which is the largest conservation area in Milton Keynes. Wolverton is proud of its railway heritage. On the edge of the town, in the grounds of Milton Keynes Museum, stands a replica of the Bloomer, at its time a locomotive at the cutting edge of technology that was produced in the railway works. We have an active Wolverton Society for Arts and Heritage that sponsors artworks and documentary film shows about the town's history, and commissions artworks that reflects that history too. Section 106 planning gain money enabled them last year to commission the creation of 3 town trails that are accessible by free leaflets, but also via apps on smartphones, where one can listen to historic audio recordings and see old photos. Many historic buildings on the trail are now also marked by plaques based on the design of railway carriage plates. The Wolverton and Greenleys Town Council area is not the classic picture postcard place usually associated with Britain in Bloom. Indeed, our initial involvement was tentative. The Secret Garden volunteers had entered the garden for the Green Pennant Awards. It was a judge who suggested that the town should enter Britain in Bloom. We were very dubious, but when we investigated, we found that the scheme's aim, to be a powerful tool for building communities and tackling local issues, was one that fitted our aspirations. So in 2007 we entered for the first time and were thrilled to be awarded a silver gilt. So, what have we been up to this year? We were thrilled to learn last September that we'd won a gold award for the first time after 10 silver gilts. This set us busy working through the autumn, beginning with planting more bulbs in the new planters and in a small garden in Firs Way, which was created in memory of our volunteer Jenny Pipping. Thanks to the generosity of Tesco and Dobby's Garden Centre, who supplied free bulbs, these and hundreds of winter pansies were planted everywhere. The wet weather days were used to plan for 2018. We decided on a colour scheme of red, white and blue to reflect the royal wedding and the 100 years since the First World War ended, and the plants were ordered in January. Our aim was to keep up with everything we have done in previous years and also add in new projects. This year we wanted to renew the Greenleys Community Garden and add low troughs to each side of the square outside the shops. As usual, the winter pansies flourished, and the springtime saw cheerful bulbs and blossom trees. This year we are delighted that the ladies of Wolverton in a Wheel have committed to looking after the war memorial beds for us, and also the 175 years wheel on McConnell Drive. The War Memorial and the cemetery entrance beds are two projects where we have taken over responsibility from Milton Keynes Council. We've had financial support in this, with perennials being funded by Cooperative Funeral Care, lavender by Norbrenza, and summer bedding from In Bloom. In commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War, we've also sprinkled poppy seeds and other wildflowers by Redways and at the railway station. We also added flowers to smaller outlying areas at Hodgeley and Stacey Bush's local shops, and are working at several Greenleas crofts to make their entrances attractive and to discourage rubbish dumping. We should also mention that at Milton Keynes Museum, the volunteers have developed and maintain Victorian and wartime gardens. We are very pleased to have seen an increase in volunteers this year, perhaps because our celebration of the gold has raised awareness. We've had many compliments whilst out working in our volunteer t-shirts in high-vis yellow, and many free teas, coffees, cold drinks and small donations offered, including a free lunch at an Indian restaurant. Our core team is small, but we have many contributions from residents in their own immediate vicinity. We had new help one Sunday after church from 2 Bulgarian families and from young people in Greenleas, local residents and Herb Farm students. We were very pleased to recruit Jane as a new volunteer this year. Her story is a tribute to the therapeutic power of gardening.
I think I had a nervous breakdown in about 2000. Nobody ever said you're having a nervous breakdown, but I became very depressed. Didn't do anything for many years. Eventually I did start poking about in the garden, and it changed everything. Britain in Bloom, that's made another difference, a much more social difference to my life. Because I nearly volunteered last year, and I was still trying to be a bit sort of careful with myself, and I mustn't get involved because people think I'm weird, or I'll have to explain myself to people, or I'll just get too tired. But I made the most of my front garden because it's on the route, and so I was determined last year that I would volunteer this year. So I did, and it's been amazing. I find that I'm not as odd as I thought I was. I'm not as grumpy and fragile as I thought I was at all. And I thought I can't talk to strangers and all this sort of thing, and I can. I can't tell you how much more confident I feel. I thought I was, about half as good as I used to be. I was operating at 50% of myself. But it's not. It's much more like 100%. It's great. It's really opened my eyes to how much I can do.
Keeping the town's floral displays looking good is a partnership effort. Our contractors do all the lamppost baskets and water many of our public planters, but we rely on residents to water doorstep tubs and street sign planters, all of which have bulbs and winter pansies as well as a summer display. This year we've really struggled with the unusually dry weather. We are grateful to the businesses that see to their own displays or water our planters. Just as important is dealing with the litter that accumulates. The Milton Keynes Council street cleaners do a great job, and we were so sad to lose Bob Everett, who was always busy around Wolverton ensuring that the town was clean and tidy. Many members of the community pitched in to help pay for this very appropriate floral tribute made by Ruth Flowers. In addition, local people under the Don't Rubbish Wolverton banner have organised community litter picks to improve their environment. Following our success last year at being the parish in Milton Keynes that most increased its recycling, we have invested the prize money in children working with artists to produce new signs about litter and dog fouling, which are now around the town. We reuse old milk bottles to water our efforts when planting around the town. The local Greenleas First School has its dinners delivered from the kitchen at Greenleas Junior School by eco-friendly bicycle transport. We try to use water from water butts as much as possible. Food waste is a big issue in the UK. The average household throws away £470 worth of food every year. Most food waste in the UK, 4.1 million tonnes, is avoidable. One solution to this problem are community fridges. The fridges enable residents and businesses to share surplus quality food that otherwise would be wasted. Last year, Wolverton Community Centre secured funding for Milton Keynes' first ever community fridge. In July this year, after 1 year of operation, more than 14 tonnes of food that was past its sell-by date that otherwise would have been thrown away has been redistributed to the community. The three jewels in our crown are the community orchard, the secret garden and the herb farm. Each will be part of the route today, but there are aspects of each that you won't perhaps be able to appreciate, how they've each developed over time. Back in 2003, a neglected plot in Wolverton, previously used for allotments, was identified as a potential site for a community area for all to enjoy. It was covered by brambles and was full of rubbish, but the local residents expressed their support for the idea of developing it as a community orchard. After clearing the area, work proceeded in setting out the various sections of the site, planting hedges and fruit trees, and creating a sensory garden full of colours and scents. Part of the site was retained as allotments and has successfully provided the children from nearby Wyvern School, which has no green space on site, with after-school outdoor experiences. The Orchard Group does not benefit from any regular funding towards replacement tools, seed or plants, and relies on community events to provide a small amount of income. With live music, a barbecue and hot and cold refreshments served from their Victorian railway carriage, these events are very popular with local families. In 1999, members of the Wolverton Society for Arts and Heritage talked about a discarded, overgrown piece of land that they walked through. Would it be possible to acquire it and turn it into a garden that everyone could enjoy in a town with too few green spaces? To cut a long story short, the answer was yes, and the volunteers raised over £180,000 to carry out the transformation, and having cleared and planted it, still come every Saturday morning to maintain it. The garden has now matured into a peaceful haven for all ages and a venue for community events, which included the secret garden winter illuminations last December that over a week was enjoyed by more than 5,000 people. The Herb Farm is a 2.5 acre growing space set in the heart of residential Wolverton and surrounded by houses on 3 sides. It's run by Growing People, a social enterprise and registered charity, and grows seasonal fruit, veg, salad and flowers for the local community. The staff work with young people who are no longer in education, employment or training, who come to the farm to gain horticultural qualifications and practical work-based skills, and work towards qualifications in maths and English, and in general improve their self-confidence and social and communication skills. What you will see on your visit is a very different sight to that which greeted regional judges in 2009. So, welcome to Wolverton and Greenleys, and we hope you enjoy your visit. We know our place won't win any prizes for natural beauty, but a very diverse group of people are proud to call this place home. And through the incentive of recognition from the Britain in Bloom scheme, we've been trying over the last 10 years to green our grey streets by involving more and more people of all ages in improving and taking pride in their environment. Through those efforts, we found more and more opportunities for people to come together and build an even stronger community.